Hello, welcome back to Healing Mama podcast. I am Val, aka Healing Mama. I want to go ahead and kick off episode 10. That's amazing. This one is titled You Are the Co-Creator of Your Life. So, something that I'm learning through my healing journey is that I am the co-creator of my life. I do have free will. I am able to make choices and decisions and basically kind of align the trajectory of the path that I plan to be on. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the quote for today is watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. And watch your character, it becomes your destiny. And this one I have had posted on my wall, written down for the last, I would say, year and a half. And it always brings me back to center and reminds me that I am the co-creator of my life. And recently my husband and I were chatting about this quote specifically. And, I was telling him, it all starts with a thought. It really does. And so let's break this quote down, and let's say that, you are thinking negatively. So then it starts with that negative thought. Then those negative thoughts turn into negative words. You're kind of saying, hey, you know what? It's not going to be okay because that was the original thought, but now you're vocalizing it. And then you start to have actions based on those words. And then you create this habit, and your brain is almost addicted to the negativity and it doesn't know how to shut it off. And then that becomes who you are, aka your character. So this quote really, really has resonated with me for a while now. And it just helps me kind of pump my brakes and really try to watch each and every thought and make sure that it is coming from a positive mindset and a place of happiness, of gratitude, because that is the trajectory of my life. That thought turns into my character long run. So really, really, really love this quote. And I challenge you to write it down, post it on your wall. And that way, when you see it, you are reminding yourself that it just takes one thought to create who your character is and what your character is. So you'll see me flipping back and forth. I apologize if the pages get in the way. I'm just looking at my notes. So really, you are creating your experience in this life. You are attracting and creating what happens in your life on a day-to-day basis. And I think we take that for granted, or we don't really necessarily take that into account, that we are attracting, we are manifesting everything that we say, everything that we think, and we are creating our situations. And so most of the time, I would say a good percentage of us are waking up in the morning and, we are already thinking a negative thought. We wake up, then we stub our toe on the bed. Then that's just a downfall. And we look back at the end of the day and we're like, wow, this day really sucked. Well, it just stemmed from that first time that you woke up and the first thought that came into your mind. So it's really a matter of reprogramming your mind. And it is hard. I will tell you, I have been trying to work on this for quite some time, and I have good days and I have bad days. I have days where, I do wake up and I am feeling some kind of way and I'm like, okay, no, let's stop. Let's go over our gratitude. So what really helps me in this journey is I fall asleep making sure that I fall asleep to my list of gratitudes. I close my eyes at night and I'm like, thank you because today I woke up. Thank you because I have a roof over my head. Thank you because I'm healthy. Thank you because my kids are healthy. My family is healthy. So falling asleep in a spirit of gratitude and then waking up in the morning with a spirit of gratitude, going over the same kind of gratitudes, the same list. And that really sets my day up for positivity and attracting great things. Because I will tell you that if you wake up in that mentality, you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to get some sunlight. I promise you it'll make your day that much better. Or even if you started a good day, you started having a good day and something happened and you're overwhelmed or you just need to take a break. step out, step outside, get some sunshine, and go over your gratitude list. Go over what you're grateful for in that moment. And if you can't think of anything, it's as small as, hey, you woke up this morning. Hey, you're breathing. And you're breathing on your own. You don't need a machine to help you breathe. You can see, you can hear, you can feel, you can walk, whatever the case is. And so it's little things. I think sometimes we get caught up. I know I used to get caught up when I was making a gratitude journal and trying to be an overthinker in what I was grateful for, when I needed to just realize it's the small things that I needed to show gratitude for. And then, of course, the rest comes in time. So I try to live my life with a purpose. I try to go day by day in life, being grateful, because if I don't have a purpose, and my purpose is gratitude, my purpose in the morning when I wake up is to be grateful and to be in a place of happiness. And if I don't set that expectation for myself or that requirement for myself, that only leaves me with anxiety. It leaves me with anxiety because your soul has no purpose at that time. So your soul is like, okay, what are we trying to do? What are we figuring out? You're kind of just, going with your eyes covered, and you don't know what the next step is. If you close your eyes right now and I tell you to walk down the hall and you don't know where you're going, it's going to cause you anxiety. So it's the same thing with your soul. If you don't have a purpose, your soul doesn't wake up and it doesn't know what it's supposed to do. It's going to cause anxiety. It's going to cause stress. And guess what? With that, you're going to attract more stress, more anxiety. So really, really make sure that you are creating a plan for yourself, a plan that when you wake up, you are giving yourself and your soul a sense of purpose. That way it is easier to take on the day, and it is easier to take on the little things that come throughout the day that might, cause you to shift in your spirit and your mindset. And so that really, really does help. Your thoughts create your reality. Your brain is wired to create what you think and feel. And so we set ourselves up in our subconscious mind. And one of these days, I do want to get into an episode where I kind of break down the subconscious mind and what I've learned from it. But the way you can look at it is, if you are thinking negatively, you're attracting only negative. You're vibrating in a low space. And so you're going to attract those lower vibrations, those lower situations, those lower scenarios. And so if you are, I talked to my husband about this the other day. I said, if you're thinking, hey, all I have is bills, guess what's going to be on your front door, in your mailbox? More bills. If you're thinking, hey, I'm fat, I can't lose weight, guess what? It's going to be super hard to lose weight, because your brain doesn't know the difference from what your thoughts are to reality. So your brain is thinking, okay, she keeps saying she's fat, she's fat, she's fat. So we're going to stay fat. We're going to stay fat because we are creating our reality. And so if your brain tells yourself, if you tell yourself over and over in your brain, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, guess what? You're going to stay in a broke situation. I had told a friend of mine the other day, I saw this quote that said, millionaires aren't the only ones that are self-made. Broke people are too. Broke people are self-made, meaning we keep ourselves broke. We keep ourselves in the situations that we're in. We don't try to get out of them. And so I heard a good explanation the other day in a podcast where, he was explaining that, we have to create the path of positivity and kind of rewire our brains, because we're so used to dwelling in this negative mindset that we have to create that path. And so the way you can think about it is, there's a field and it has tall grass because it's never been walked on. And so you have to first track that path and, get grass down. But the more and more that you walk on that grass, and the more that you walk on that same path, the more that you're going to create a pathway for you in the future. And that pathway is the pathway to positivity. So really making sure that you are creating that for yourself and drifting yourself away from the negative mindset. And so our brains don't know the difference between what is reality and what is our thought. And I always think of it in my life, and the aspects of where, I've had situations where I've been heated or, I've argued with people, and I replay and I replay and I replay, and little by little things start to change. Things get foggy. We don't necessarily remember what happened years later because we've replayed that scenario in our mind over and over and over, and that becomes our reality. So that thought, just kind of drifted and fogged what really, really happened. So your brain doesn't know because you keep replaying it and replaying it in different situations. And so your brain is creating that as if it were truly what happened. So a lot of the times you can look at people and be like, how do you not remember that? Like, this is clearly how I remember it. And they don't, because their reality, their thoughts were their reality. Their perspective was their reality. And so I challenge you to speak to yourself with purpose and with power, and to say, I'm going to step out of this negative mindset. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to attract financial stabilities, financial wellness, financial wealth. I'm going to be healthy. And speak to yourself in power. Don't speak to yourself from a place of lack. Speak to yourself in a place of abundance. Speak to yourself with a place of love and compassion. Because sometimes we don't receive love from the outside, and we really, really need to give it to ourselves. So if you're struggling with, feeling alone, and you look outside and you're like, hey, I truly am alone, there's nobody around me, I challenge you to hug yourself and say, I love myself and I am enough in this space. I am enough, and I know that I love myself and I'm happy in my peace. And in time, others will come because you are loving yourself. So you're going to attract that as well. And really just speak to yourself in a place of power and purpose. And also just know that, since you are the co-creator of your life, the moment that a sad memory comes to your mind, or a stressful situation comes, or you're angry, that you stop yourself and you allow yourself to open your mind to something you are grateful for. And so, these past couple of weeks, I feel like I've been challenged and going through this process of, in a sense, testing. And so, it's just a matter of, hey, Val, you're growing, you're learning, but that doesn't mean your life is going to be perfect. Things are going to come that are going to test you, challenge you, and really see if you can hold down strong and be 10 toes down for what you believe now. And so, I'm getting these situations and these scenarios where I'm like, you know what? Life is happening for me, not to me. Let me stop myself when I start to feel overwhelmed. And again, right back to, my gratitude list. What am I grateful for in this moment? Because a negative thought cannot exist in a spirit of gratitude. It cannot. And I challenged my husband recently, because, him and I have talked, and he's like, you know what? I do have a victim mentality. I do feel like I dwell in negativity. And so I challenged him. I said, hey, when a negative thought comes to mind, stop yourself and, start going through gratitude, start going through what you're grateful for, start seeing what you want in the future and manifest the positive. And so I asked him the other day, how is that working out for you? Do you feel like it's making a difference? And he's like, you know what? It is. Like, he said, I can't say that it doesn't keep the negativity or the negative mindset away, or the negative thoughts or the stressful thoughts that come in. It doesn't keep it away, and it doesn't. It's not a fix-all. You will still get those things, but it's the matter of when you see that negativity cannot remain or exist in a spirit of gratitude, that's eye-opening. Because then you want to challenge yourself to almost be grateful 24/7, because you don't want to feel that negativity. You don't want to feel those thoughts. You don't want to feel that anxiety. So again, remember, be grateful in the moments where you're challenged. Be grateful in the moments where you're feeling lonely. Be grateful in the moments where you're feeling sad or overwhelmed or not good enough. Be grateful. Stop yourself and take yourself out of that mindset and reprogram your brain to be in a spirit of gratitude, because negativity cannot exist in a spirit of gratitude. Life is happening for you, not to you. So attract what you want. When I do my daily meditations, I sit in and I'm in line and in tune with my higher power, and I start to go over, what it is that I want. And it's not even just going over. I think a lot of the times when I first started with manifestation, I thought, okay, I'm going to manifest what I want. So this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. But that's not what manifesting is. Manifesting is having the belief and knowing without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to get that. And not just saying, hey, I'm going to get this, envisioning how you get it, and going over your desire, what you're looking for, what you're wanting, and playing that scenario out when you get it in your head. That's manifesting. And so that can be in any form. And so really, really just challenge yourself to attract good things, attract positivity. And if you can work on manifesting and playing out that scenario, even better. And if you are curious as to manifestation, how it works, what I do, what I've seen, then please let me know. And I would love to do an episode on manifesting. I will tell you, just side note, kind of drifting off of this real quick. But, I have been huge on, even before I got into my healing journey, I would write down my goals and I would put them on the mirror. And so back in 2017 is when I really started to do that. And so in 2017, I jotted down, I want to own a home. I want to fix my credit, this, that, and the other. And I had it on the window. Every day I would brush my teeth and I would read it and I would read it and I would see it every day. Guess what? 2018, we bought our house. We bought our house. My credit was fixed. And everything that I had set out, everything that I was reading on a day-to-day basis, I attracted, I manifested, I put into existence. And it's not just that. Another scenario is, I had told my husband probably 3 years ago, I said, I want to live in this little town. I took him to the exact houses that I wanted to live in. I'm like, these are the houses that I want to live in. He's like, yeah, I don't know. That they look expensive. We might not have the money for it. And I'm like, no, I'm going to live here one day. I'm telling you. Fast forward to the future. Guess what? We had a house in that neighborhood. We lived in that neighborhood because I manifested it. I attracted it. I went there and I looked and I said, this is going to be the neighborhood that I'm going to live in. That's it. Point blank, period. And so, I chuckled because when we were there, I said, you remember when I said we were going to live here? And he's like, yeah. He's like, you always get what you want. Because I believe it, I manifest it, I attract it. And so it's kind of funny in a sense of, we don't see it like that. We see it as we can only attract bad things. We see it as we're stuck in the lives that, we are in currently. But you are the co-creator of your life. You have the power to change your life. And you hold that power. And I don't think we see that enough. We take it for granted how much power we have. And so you are the co-creator of your life. You can create the life you want. You can choose to create it, or you could choose to be stuck. So you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, do I want to live in power? Do I want to live in peace? Do I want to live in happiness? Or do I want to stay stuck? Do I want to stay stuck in the low vibration spirit? Do I want to only attract bad things? And I know nobody wants to be in that low vibration state. I know nobody wants to be stuck and struggle. But are you going to challenge yourself to put in the work? Because it does take work. It does take belief. And it's even harder when you have things come that are, taking you this way, taking you that way, stressing you out, causing anxiety. And you're like, okay, I'm on this path. I'm trying to heal, but things keep hitting me left and right. Guess what? It's a test. It's a test and it's a challenge to prove to you at the end of that challenge that you got this. To prove to you at the end of the challenge that you're going to be okay and that you are on a path that you've never been on before, and to see the difference from what you were before to now. And so I am really, really loving this journey. It's crazy. It, again, has good and bad days. I have moments where I do, get a little lost in it, but I have to pump my brakes and remind myself, who I am, what my power is, and what my goal is, what my focus is. And you can do the same. Never, 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 never let the fact that you are a powerful being go out of mind, go out of sight, because you are, and you're capable of having the life that you deserve and the life that you want. And you have to believe that. And you are attracting that on a day-to-day basis. You can attract that on a day-to-day basis. And so I just send you so, so much love wherever you are, wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. I send you so much love, peace, joy, and happiness. And I want to thank you again for listening, for tuning in, the love, the support. I am so grateful, so appreciative. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And I wish you a wonderful weekend. And until next time, have a great day.